Good afternoon. My name is Sharon Popolewski with AAPM&R. Thank you for attending today's webinar about market research opportunities at AAPM&R's annual assembly. Before we begin, I'd like to address just a few housekeeping notes and before introducing our speakers. We have participants in listen-only mode. However, we encourage questions, and please feel free to type your questions in the question box seen on the screen. It's on the right-hand side of your screen. We will be answering questions at the end of the presentation. Today's webinar will be recorded, and we will distribute the slides to all attendees. Also, at the conclusion of the webinar, we'll be sending a survey, and we welcome your feedback and encourage your responses. At this point, you see the agenda before you. Our goal is really to present the information so you have an idea of the offerings available, and we are happy to schedule one-on-one meetings to address more questions. At this point, I'd like to introduce you to our presenters from Strategic Market Research Group, SMRG. So with us are Raj Desai and Angie Crone. Ashley Piper from AAPM&R is also present. So at this point, I'm going to turn the presentation over to Raj.
Okay, thank you very much, Sharon, and welcome everybody. Thank you for attending today's webinar. We're really excited to share with you some of the things that we're thinking about for exhibitors at AAPM&R 2018, some opportunities that you can take advantage of. Again, my name is Raj Desai. I am the Director of Business Development and Client Relations for Strategic Market Research Group, and with me I have Anjali Crone. She is our Vice President and Senior Moderator, and we are going to talk a little bit more about these research opportunities available to you. First, a little bit about us. We are a market research company with a focus in the healthcare industry. We've done a lot of work in physiatry in areas such as brain injury medicine, hospice and palliative medicine, pain medicine and treatment, rehabilitation, sports medicine and spinal cord injury. And we've done a lot of this work through doing numerous interviews, focus groups, and data collection with healthcare providers, executives, payers, and patients, really anyone whose feedback and opinion and insights you'd want to know with regards to any decisions that you're going to be making for your marketing programs at your company. A little bit about our company more so. Our senior team has about 40 years of combined research and operations experience. We are nearing almost 30,000 minutes in moderating minutes. So that's a lot of discussions with doctors and patients, a lot of sitting down and talking and digging for insights with these people. We started our business in 2008, so about 10 years of operation. And we are 100% woman and minority owned. Just a little bit of a snapshot of our company. We are certified WBENC, which is the Women's Business Enterprise National Council. We've gotten our certification again for this year and excited to work with companies. So a little bit about the annual assembly at a glance. So take a look here at a couple of these pie charts. These are some graphical information about the assembly in Denver last year. And as you can see from both of these charts here, that this is a pretty large gathering, whether it's broken up by attendee or by subspecialty, a very large pool of attendees for you to gather feedback from. As you can see, you had over 2,700 attendees in Denver last year, and 2018 in Orlando is gearing up to be the single largest gathering of physiatrists for this year. Just a little food for thought and some information as you think ahead for your market research efforts for later in 2018. And so now let's talk about the research opportunities that will be available to you for the annual assembly in Orlando. One we're going to be calling Physiatrist Market Research, and this is really market research that will allow you to understand what physiatrists think with regards to your marketing efforts. And the second area of research that we're going to be focusing on for this year is called Assembly Optimization Research. And this is research that will go towards really understanding what physiatrists and other medical professionals who are attending the assembly in Orlando think with regards to your presence at the assembly, really what their thought processes are with regards to actually attending an assembly such as AAPM&R 2018. And the reasons for both these areas of research we felt were, really excellent ways for you to really benefit your company's bottom line. When you take a look at an area such as physiatrist market research, this is an area that will allow you to focus on the feedback of these doctors in advance of any of your product development, marketing, and sales efforts. And when you really think about physiatrist market research, think of it really as an insurance policy for your company before you roll out any major initiatives. When we've worked with companies in the past, prior to any product development, marketing, or sales efforts, there's some pertinent pieces of information that they must know before investing their dollars in any type of marketing program. So we're out there to really answer those questions so that they make sure that they're taking advantage of good opportunities, but also making sure that they're avoiding any pitfalls or mistakes that could really undo any type of marketing initiative. And the assembly optimization research is really more focusing on allowing the exhibitor at AAPM&R 2018, sorry about that, to achieve as high an ROI on their presence at the assembly as possible. So really the big question for why you should conduct this research really focuses on how can your presence at the AAPM&R 2018 assembly be most effective in attracting, connecting, educating, and resonating with and learning from medical professionals. So with that, let's dig a little deeper into both these areas of research. And the first area of research that we're going to focus on is, again, the physiatrist market research. And really, this can be any medical professional at the assembly, but we focused on physiatrists because they're going to be the group most represented. And as you take a look at what we've listed here on this page, and this is by no means a complete list, think about these different areas as things that you're going to want to find out with regards to your marketing program. But really, the reason why you might want to do this at the assembly in Orlando is that you are going to be taking advantage of the fact that this is the single largest concentration. You have a captive audience of all these physiatrists in one place at the same time. So really a great way to, strike while the iron's hot. And really taking a look at this list, you can really take advantage of this research to say, if you want to learn more about how physiatrists interact with patients on a daily basis or over time, our research can uncover that for you. If you wanted to get a better understanding as to what are the current testing and diagnosing practices of physiatrists and what their feedback is on yours and your competitors' offerings, well, our research can uncover that for you as well. If you wanted to find out what the unmet needs are of physiatrists and what the realities are of their everyday and what their environment is like, so you can better understand what types of products and messaging you should put out there to market, well, our research can uncover that for you as well. Really anything or everything that physiatrists and what you'd want to find out so that you can make better decisions around your marketing programs, that's why we're here. That's why we're in business, and our research will uncover that for you. And we can do this, you can go to the next slide, please, sorry. And the way that we can help you uncover and find this information out as to how these physiatrists are thinking, there's three different ways that we can help you accomplish this. One is through qualitative market research, and qualitative market research is just that. It's us sitting down, having either phone conversations, if need be, or in-depth, in-person interviews, or focus groups, or we can have groups of 2 or 3 physiatrists as well, or any type of interactive feedback session so that we can really dig deep into their mindsets and really understand, what they're thinking, why they're thinking, and really the story behind, their thought process. So that would be qualitative market research. Quantitative market research, which is the second bullet point, usually we get involved with quantitative market research, which is, broader data collection, whether it's through surveys or questionnaires. And this data collection is for larger sample sizes. So if you're looking to find out, say, the feedback of 1,000 physiatrists, Doing interviews might be a little time consuming, so we can actually help you accomplish that feedback through maybe broader data collection through surveys or through questionnaires or any other type of electronic feedback. And finally, another area that your company can take advantage of is through the Lunch and Learns. With the 2018 Assembly in Orlando, the AAPM&R group has afforded its exhibitors a very unique opportunity to do Lunch and Learns, which is your company doing presentations on any number of topics, not just your company's products, but clinical findings, larger, broader topics of conversation. And after that presentation is done, we can actually work with your company to get the immediate feedback of those who are attending your company's presentation, and we can accomplish to get that real-time raw feedback about what they just watched, whether it's through maybe some 30-minute interviews, some quick questionnaires, some data collection, so you can really see how successful your company was in presenting that information and what type of feedback you got. So these are three different ways that we can really help mine for the insights of physiatrists as it again pertains to your overall marketing, product development, and sales efforts. The second area of research is what we're calling assembly optimization research. And as mentioned, this is a way for your company to achieve a higher return on its investment at its presence at the assembly. We've done a lot of research and work with companies as it pertains to their actual physical presence at any number of medical conferences. And really working with AAPM&R, we felt that it would be a great opportunity to collaborate with exhibitors and AAPM&R to help these exhibitors get the most out of their actual presence at the assembly. You're going to get about, you might get close to 3,000 doctors and medical professionals who are going to be attending this assembly later this year. And they're going to have a lot of options to visit a lot of booths, and they're going to be, spending their time going from booth to booth, collecting information. And for your company, the big question is, how can you tackle certain areas such as better understanding, in the first place, why are these doctors attending this assembly? What's the driving force behind attending the assembly? And once they're there, what's driving booth traffic? You'll notice at some conferences and assemblies, some booths are simply getting more foot traffic than other booths. You're going to want to find out why some booths are getting more foot traffic, what's attracting people to particular booths, whether it's yours or your competitors or any other booth. And finally, what makes for the best booth experience? When someone's coming to their booth, are they just walking away with, just a brief conversation with your whomever is the person manning the booth, your sales reps, or are they walking away with something a little more that resonates them with that resonates with them more beyond the assembly? These are things that you're going to want to find out so you can make the most of your interactions with the attendees at the assembly itself. And the way that we can, I'm sorry, if we can go to the next slide, please. Thank you. And the way that we can, help you accomplish, better understanding, the motivating factors behind the attendance at the assembly and how to make the most out of your presence and interactions with the attendees is really more strategic in terms of timing. We can help you do something, as you can see in option one, what's called booth game plan for Orlando 2018. Find out in advance of the assembly what these doctors are looking for, why they're going, and what they're going to really want to get out of their experience with any particular booth or vendor or area of treatment. Another thing that we can help you with is called mystery shopping, and mystery shopping will actually allow you to get real-time feedback during the assembly as to the experience of participating doctors who are, going to your booth and providing feedback on their experience. And then also we can do what's called a post-assembly evaluation. What these doctors gathered, what these medical professionals gathered from their experience at the assembly, whether it's with your booth or any number of booths, and just their overall experience. This can help you game plan for the AAPM&R 2019 assembly in San Antonio. So you can choose from one of these three options or combine any of the three to get more of a holistic approach to your strategy as it pertains to really resonating with physiatrists at any of the AAPM&R events. And if we can go to the next slide, please. Thank you very much. So I know we're going through this really pretty quickly, but we want to save enough room for any questions at the end. But what we want to do now is, now that we've talked about the different research opportunities available, we wanted to show basically a sample time frame and schedule. Now, this time frame and schedule is by no means, set in stone, but it's really more of a guide to give anyone who is going to be doing any of this type of research with us in AAPM&R a better understanding of maybe the time that would be involved in executing a research program from beginning to end. One of the things that we do is that once, a contract is signed and we've commissioned a project with a client, we have a kickoff meeting with your team. And the kickoff meeting is there to better understand what your marketing hypothesis is, what are the questions that you want to have answered, what are the things that you need to find out to achieve whatever your goals are and make the decisions around your marketing programs. What we're going to do with regards to that kickoff, after that kickoff meeting, is really start creating what's called the screeners and the discussion guides. So again, we're going to want to work with your team, and really the heart and soul of all the research when you're working with us is done prior to actually executing and getting that research done. So we're going to work with your team up front to create the screeners and the discussion guide. And the discussion guide is really the heart and soul of the research itself. That is where we work with your team to craft the questions that will be asked over either half hour, 45 minutes, or an hour interview with a doctor, the probing questions that you're going to want to really get answered. Once we have all that done, we're going to execute and do the field work. And this will be, field work that would be for this assembly, research, interviews, and focus groups at the assembly itself. And once we're done with that, we will collect all that information and start writing the report, which includes the analysis and the analysis of the finding and the report of the entire project objective. And then once we're done with that, we do a final presentation to your management with key takeaways and recommendations. So again, just wanted to show you this sample time frame. Normally these projects take about, anywhere between maybe 8 to 10 weeks, but it could be shorter or longer depending on how big your sample size is and how many respondents you're looking to get feedback from. If we can go to the next slide, please. Thank you very much. Now, this next slide, we just want to show you a couple of quick examples of projects that SMRG has conducted within the arena of physiatry. And before we go into that, you'll see that we did, here's an example of a pharmaceutical company and a medical device company, but we do want to make sure that anyone who's listening knows that we do work with, we can help with any kind of the biotech companies, biopharma companies, research institutions, rehabilitation groups, anyone who might be university affiliated. We work with anyone who is looking to find out information around any type of healthcare initiative that would drive any of their marketing programs. That being said, let's take a look here at this, a couple of these examples of work. First here at the top, the pharmaceutical company. We worked with a client who wanted to identify potential for differentiation of its osteoarthritis pain management treatment in a crowded therapeutic space. They want to do this because they obviously were competing against other players in the same space, so they needed to better understand how they could go about differentiating their offerings to doctors so that these doctors, they could better understand how on board these doctors are with their offering. The way that we conducted the research is that we did 50 teledepth, which are telephone interviews with physiatrists, orthopedic surgeons, and payers. These were hour-long interviews, and the results of gathering the information from all of these interviews was that our client was able to get a much better understanding of treatment algorithms, formulary tier placements, and pricing expectations, and as such was able to much more strongly position their treatment in that therapeutic space and gain that competitive advantage. We have, not to toot our own horn, but we've gotten a lot of repeat work from this client as well, because they were able to really understand that we were able to understand their efforts, and then we were able to work on the next phase of research for them as well. With a medical device company, and we do work with tons of medical device groups and companies and manufacturers, This client wanted to uncover how to best communicate their device's value proposition with doctors so that they could identify the optimal positioning platform and supporting messages as they prepared for launch. So what they wanted us to do was conduct a series of in-person interviews with physiatrists in 3 markets. So we actually traveled to 3 different markets, sat down with these physiatrists, had these in-depth interviews, and really showed them more about the product itself. They were able to actually see the physical product, play with the product, take a look at some clinical trials of the product, and really get from them, their opinions about how we should properly, position this product to any doctors who would be interested in possibly prescribing or recommending this device to any of their patients. So the outcome was that this client was able to identify and equip its sales reps with how to best really communicate with physiatrists. A lot of companies are going to be sending their sales reps on the road to visit as many doctors as possible, and they're going to want to make sure that their sales reps know the right words and have the right type of sales collateral to present and really have the best conversations so that doctors can ultimately be on board with their company's offerings. And with that, we can go to the next slide. So with that, we're finished here, at least with the presentation. If you have any information, please feel free to reach out to either Sharon Popolewski at AAPM&R or myself, Raj Desai at SMRG. And we had actually, not sure if we have any questions. It looks like we may have one question here. I'm not sure if anyone else has any questions, but we do have a question here.
Okay, and so it looks like the question that's coming in is there a deadline date for doing any of this research? And so what we see, since the assembly is in October, is that you best want to get started as soon as possible. Typically, as Raj said earlier in this webinar, it's anywhere from 8 to 10 weeks, but prior to the 8 to 10 weeks, that's after a project actually gets commissioned, you have things like workshops and other types of meetings and so forth. And so we really strongly recommend a few months before the assembly, so maybe June, early July, to really kick off. And the reason we say that is a lot of the times, market research companies will have clients will have workshops in which they will have us come in, sit down, learn about their products, do full day or 2-day workshops, and meet with sales team, talk through the different objectives for where they really want their products to go. And from there, they talk about the different types of research they're looking for, and then from there, they talk about what research is best for something like an assembly.
Yeah, and so just to kind of piggyback on what Angie has mentioned, the reason that you're going to want to, if you want to, really make the most of your presence at the assembly, the reason why you do want to start a little early on this is really more for than anything is to really sit down with us and really talk through what is it that you truly want to find out. We can consult with you on that. And really, once we get that squared away, then we can start actually preparing all the documentation so that once we do get to the assembly in Orlando, all the questions that you're going to want to have asked and the way that you're going to want to get that feedback is going to be very well scoped out. And then it will allow us to really just kind of hit the ground running once we get to Orlando in October later this year. So with that, were there any other questions? And please note that if you do have any questions and you're not able to ask it today, please take advantage of the contact information, and also, you can reach out to Sharon or myself to ask any other additional questions that you might have. So with that, if there aren't any questions, we'll keep the floor open for a couple more minutes. But if there aren't any questions, we do want to thank you for attending today's webinar. And please note that, again, we'll be getting this information out to anyone who's interested. But again, we are really excited and really think that this assembly is a great opportunity for exhibitors to really kind of, tackle the physiatry market and really best understand what physiatrists are thinking and how to best differentiate yourself in a pretty crowded landscape. With that, do you want to thank everyone?
Thank you so much for your time.
Okay, thanks a lot and have a great day.